Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fortified Life podcast, where we are passionate about developing a dependency on Jesus in the marketplace. I'm your host, Jason Davis, aka Mr. Fortify. Every week, we have the opportunity to bring on coaches, speakers, authors, business owners, leaders of nonprofits who are also passionate about putting God back in business. It's no different this week, ladies and gentlemen. There are guests. I love all of my guests. There's just certain people that when you meet them, it's like you've just known them for a while. And you've heard me say that, listeners, a few times, but I'm telling you, there's some people you just have really cool conversations with, and our guest today is one of those people in quotes. She is certainly my sister in Christ. But ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Fortified Life podcast, Lauren Rilling. She's been helping businesses and individuals simplify their finances for the past decade. Lauren, welcome to the Fortified Life podcast.
Oh, thank you, Jason. It's such an honor to be here, and I'm so glad we got to catch up a little bit earlier. And yeah, just so happy to join you.
For sure. Lauren, I'm often intrigued because people hear phrasing like helping businesses and individuals simplify their finances. And depending on where you're at with your money, on personal or business, they go, I don't know if I would describe my finances as simple. So that being said, I know you just didn't wake up in 2025 just attacking all things money. So kind of take us through the professional journey of how you got into what you're doing today.
Oh, that's a good question because my academic background is not in finance. It's
Mm.
actually in political science. So, but it does connect. So, after college, I wanted to get a master's degree, and I had just a little bit of college debt, just enough that I knew I didn't want to go into 10 times as much debt for a master's degree. And so I told my husband at the time, I really want to cash flow this. But that was a little crazy because he was also in grad school and we were living off of my teacher's salary. So, how are we going to pay for an entire degree when we're living off of a teacher's salary?
Mm.
But we were really determined to do it. And so we learned how to set goals, we learned how to budget, we learned how to cash flow, navigate different uh, fluctuations in income and life circumstances. And 2.5 years later, I graduated with a master's degree debt free. And that's also the same month that our twins were born.
Mm.
And so it was a really crazy month. I don't even know how I finished that last paper. I don't know how I had that energy a decade ago. But what it sparked in me was this appreciation for what financial freedom really meant. And that was just the ability to do whatever was going to be best for our family, whatever God was calling us to do without having to worry about how we were going to afford it. And I found so much peace in knowing that I wasn't going to have to go out and find a job just to figure out, how to pay back student loans when I had newborn twins at home. So that was what financial freedom was for us at the time. And from there, I had friends and family just asking me, can you help me with my budget? I want to go to school or I'm trying to pay off debt. How did you guys do this? And from there, I got to go do training at Ramsey Solutions on financial coaching. And I just thought, this will be like a great little side thing while my twins are little. And, it kind of gives me a bit of an outlet, a professional and creative outlet. But then it grew. It just grew. And I found so much joy in helping people with their finances, and seeing the results that they were getting with paying off debt and saving for things and learning how to get on the same page in their marriage with their communication around money. And at the same time, a lot of my clients were business owners of small
Mm.
companies, and I was looking at their revenue and going, okay, you've got plenty in revenue, so like what's going on the personal side of things? And they're like, well, I don't know how I'm going to pay myself this month. I'm like, why? It seems like you're making plenty of money. And I realized there was a really big disconnect with a lot of small business owners, and this was just very common with not really knowing how to manage their cash flow and also with not knowing how to set and achieve healthy profit targets in their business. And I
Mm.
knew if I could help people solve those two problems, then as business owners, I could really help them thrive in their personal lives as well. And so I sort of shifted into helping business owners and started working with small companies and then a little bit bigger and bigger until I reached the point where I was able to offer fractional CFO services for small companies in the, under 10 million range in revenue. And so that along with business finance coaching and personal finance coaching is what I've been doing now for the last several years.
Very cool. Lauren, there there are so many things that came to mind there. I'm often so intrigued, Lauren, that a lot of times personal transformation is the breeding ground for transformation in others. And so what was really cool was to hear like what you did in your own family, people taking notice and being like, "Oh, wait a minute. Hey, I need some help with my budget." So just talk about I think sometimes if we're not careful, we miss things like that. It's just a thing that I did. And people are like, "No, that's a big deal." So, how important is it for us to maybe take a step back and recognize that when you've experienced some sort of breakthrough and other people see it, that they want you to come alongside them and partner on their journey? And I don't it just sometimes with this life is so fast moving and fast paced, we don't pause. So for you, what was that like, the aha moments you started to have when you're like, oh, sure, this is just what I was doing, and now you're helping other people? Like, what was that like for you?
Hmm, that's a good question. I'm not sure there was one single aha moment, but I would say there were a series of moments that I can kind
Mm,
of remember. So I remember when it was all over, when grad school was done and the twins were born. I mean, obviously, we didn't exactly plan for twins and we didn't know when we started that journey what our circumstances would be, but God knew and he equipped us and enabled us um, to be able to successfully complete that journey of finishing grad school without debt. And then I think, just hearing from people, their hearts and their goals and their desires and their dreams and their struggles and being able to inject some hope in that situation, saying, I see the path forward for you. Like you
hmm.
can do this. Like I really believe in you and meaning that wholeheartedly. Um, there was so much joy in that
Yeah.
and excitement in that, and then getting just to walk alongside people in that journey was something I really loved. Funny enough, I didn't know that people did that for a living. I was just doing this for fun. And at the same time, I was praying about possibly getting back into the workforce, and I just felt the Lord being like, I have something for you, just hang on. Just
Mm,
just wait. Don't go out looking for jobs right now. Just wait. Just give it a little time. I've got something for you. And I've had total peace about it because I was feeling so restless. And when the Lord just gives you a word, it's like, okay, I have peace now. I can trust it. And okay, I'm just going to go with that. And I had so much peace from that point on. About 6 months later, maybe 5 months later, uh, I saw this Facebook ad and it was for coach training at Ramsey Solutions. And I had facilitated one of their financial peace university classes and just had so much fun with it. And I didn't have any idea that they even offered coach training or that coaching was a thing. I think coaching is so popular now
hmm.
that it's like everyone has a coach or is a coach or doing. But in 2015, coaching was not as popular. I think coaching
Right.
even had sort of a almost remedial connotation, like, oh, you need a coach because you're doing a bad job and you need a coach to like help you
Yeah.
become average. Whereas now we look at coaching as like kind of elite, like if you want to be the best you can, hire a coach. And so I saw that opportunity and it was like, that's it, that's the thing. And so I got to go to Ramsey Solutions, did the coach training, totally fell in love with it, and was able to, start an actual business um, because of that training and also from the experience that I had. And I think, the Lord is just so good in giving us the information that we need just one step at a time. And
Mm.
so it wasn't necessarily one aha moment, but it was a series of moments that where I see the Lord's hand and how he led me into what I'm doing now.
I love it, Lauren. I had a very strong inclination. It was a series. I didn't want our listeners to miss it because, when you look at social media and all these things, we think everything happens in a vacuum or there was this one big event that blows up a concept or an idea. So I love how you talked about like, no, it was step by step. It was a series of things that led to where you are today. So thank you for taking us on the journey. Now, speaking of journey, Lauren, it is really cool. I love the name of your business, Savvy Stewardship. And I told you offline, you just can't look at that name and, oh, yeah, moving on, let me just book a session. Like, no, I know there's a story there. How did you go about naming, like, especially in the church world, we've heard as I like to say, it's a nice $10, $20 word, stewardship, and it has a lot of different connotations in people's brain, but to pair it with savvy, that's really cool.
Thanks. Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I only named it that this last year. Um,
Mm,
it wasn't Savvy Stewardship. I think it was just like Lauren Rilling coaching or whatever it was. But when I first started the business, I really loved the concept of stewardship and I really wanted to use that word in my business name. And I can't tell you the number of people who told me not to do it because
mm,
stewardship has a negative connotation for so many people.
mm,
And it's limiting. Like, not everyone knows what that means. Or if you have clients who are not Christians, that's not going to resonate with them. Or people want to be wealthy, they don't want to just be stewards. And so you need to be a little more flashy and be more wealth oriented. And uh, sadly, at the time, I took their advice. And so I didn't use the word stewardship. And even though that was really my heart and what I felt the Lord had put on my heart to pursue as like the mission, and this is the whole point of it, is that every bit of money and all of our resources, all of our time, talent, and treasure belong to the Lord. It's all His. We are
hmm.
stewards. Like that's the reality of it. And it's such a privilege to get to be stewards of God's resources and what He's entrusted to us. And when we look at ourselves as stewards, there's so much more joy and freedom in managing our finances and making decisions than
Hmm.
there is when it's like all on us. When it's like mine and I have to own this and I have to control this and that's just like stress and pressure and and frankly like no fun at all in my opinion. So I think it's much more fun to say, God, you're in charge and how what's going to bring you honor and what do you want me to do with this and how can I be part of your plan? I think that's way
Hmm.
more fun. So stewardship to me is like the coolest thing ever. And I finally got to a point last year in my business. I really did sort of a relaunch after going through some life stuff. And it was like, all right, Lord, if we're going to do this, like it's yours, you're in charge. And just really felt like the word stewardship this is what it's about. So that's what we're going to call it. And people who aren't excited about it, that's totally fine. But people who are excited, if that resonates, if the word stewardship resonates, then it's going to really resonate. And so I was so happy when you mentioned that you noticed the name. And yeah, savvy because we want to be smart and we want to be wise and we want to make good decisions and the alliteration, that was part of it as well. So there you have savvy stewardship.
I love it. Powerful, powerful
Thank
branding
you.
indeed. And folks, just a reminder too, like sometimes good earthly ideas are not God ideas.
Mhm.
So if the Lauren felt led to name her business one way, even though the feedback, you don't need to do that, but are we here to serve God or to serve man? That's something that we're always navigating in our faith journey in business and finance. So thank you for telling that story about the naming of the business, Lauren. Now, Lauren, let's get into how you care for your customers and clients. So you talked a little bit earlier about being a fractional CFO. Then we've got business finances and personal finances. So kind of walk us through those three offerings, and what is it like to be a day in the life of a customer and be served by Savvy Stewardship, knowing kind of those three domains?
hmm Yeah, so on the personal finance side of coaching, I'm still happy to work with clients who need help with their personal finances. I don't do that as much anymore, just because most of my inquiries are from business owners.
Hmm.
But I just love helping people. So if there's someone I can help with their personal finances, whether you've got a big goal to get out of debt, or you're just feeling overwhelmed and you need help getting good systems in place to make a personal budget, or maybe you have a big goal in front of you, like you want to go to grad school debt free or start really investing for retirement, or there's lots of things you want to do, or you had an income change and you're like, I just don't know how to navigate this and I want to do a good job. I can help you with all of those things. Like those things are exciting, and I really believe in people's ability to learn. Like I'm not a spreadsheet math person, actually. It's not, I'm really not. Like the Lord really showed me, like, look, Lauren, I'm not, this isn't in your natural skill set, but I'm going to give you the experience because I've called you to this, right? And I've called everyone to steward what they have. And so I really believe that being a great steward of your financial resources is within anyone's ability. You don't have to be great at math. You don't have to love spreadsheets. You don't have to be an engineer. Like we don't have to you know, make every, we can round to the nearest dollar, like it's fine. But you can do a good job making decisions about your money. And then on the business finance and CFO side of things, so fractional CFO, that's for companies that really do need, a monthly financial analysis, and they need the reports, and they need, a bit more involvement in
Hmm.
their business finances. And then I really also love to offer business finance coaching. So it's business coaching with an emphasis on business finance, because
Got it.
we need to have a good understanding of our numbers. And I just find that that's a big gap
Mm.
for many, and with good reason, because you're probably amazing at what you do, and then when you look at your profit loss statement and your balance sheet, it's like, well, what do these numbers mean? Like my
Mm.
bookkeeper gives these to me every month, but how do I actually turn this into insight that allows me to take action, that allows me to develop a strategy
Yeah.
to grow? And how do I make decisions for my business that are not just based on how much money I have in the bank account right now, but are actually based on some information that I have that I can actually use and use to make wiser, better decisions. And so we want to look at, what are your personal goals? What about your personal income? What's going on in your family? What are your needs? What's God put on your heart, in terms of giving and saving? Um, and what about, your family, and what's going to be best for your family? How is the business really working for you or not working for you, that we might want to look at? And then on the, business side of things, finances usually correlate to something operational. So
Mm.
let's say that your gross profit margin is really like way below industry average. Well, let's figure out why. And from an operational standpoint, what can you do to change that? And what's going to make that profit increase? Because what we find a lot is that company owners focus so much on growing their revenue that
Hmm.
they don't realize they're putting all that money, it's like pouring water into a colander, where you might have more water going into the colander, but it's also draining out. And so we want to
Mm.
make sure that that's not draining out. We want to optimize your profit. We want to make sure that your profit margins are healthy, that you have the right business systems in place before you go spend a lot of money and time and effort into growing your revenue, because then you're doing so much more work, but you're not necessarily keeping more money doing it. So we want to make sure we're doing the right things in the right order. And the way we get that clarity is by looking at your business through that financial lens. So whether you need business finance coaching or fractional CFO work, that's really where I specialize in helping.
See, folks, not just stewardship, savvy
Savvy stewardship.
stewardship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lauren, what would you say um, in 2025? We have a new administration, there's tariffs, there's inflation. What's maybe the top one or two things you're hearing from business owners like,
Mm.
I just don't even know where to begin, or I'm struggling here. What are you seeing out there in the market in 2025?
Yeah. I would say right now, sales.
Mm,
Sales is the biggest challenge right now. We've seen in a lot of sectors a growth slowdown, economic
okay.
slowdown, fewer contracts, fewer customers, especially in B2B businesses, people being a lot more careful about where they're spending their money, wanting to make cuts. And that's affecting small businesses. A
Mm,
few years ago, when we had quantitative easing and we had just all this cash being injected, it was really cheap to borrow money. And companies weren't as concerned with, and I'm not saying like you should or shouldn't borrow money, that's a totally different conversation,
mhm,
but just that affected buyers' mindsets. Like buyers were willing to spend money to pay more. We weren't being as cautious. Now, that's not the case. And so business owners are finding that they have to put a lot more effort into their sales and
mm,
into their marketing and not just spending more money, but being really strategic, really hustling, working harder for those sales. They're not as easy.
mm,
And so paying attention to those and making sure that your budget is really optimized to get the best ROI possible and that your focus as a business owner is where it needs to be and that your time is being spent on the highest, the most impactful activities. Um, those are really the keys to being successful right now. But yeah, I would say it's sales is like the most challenging thing in our current economic conditions.
mm. Folks, I told you, is she a coach or is she a coach? She's just given all these nuggets of wisdom right here on the show. Lauren, now, just because it's the hot thing, and uh, if you're still navigating the space, no harm, no foul, has the AI come up with clients? A lot of times on the tech side or maybe like marketing, you hear that
Mhm.
come up. But have you been asked that question, even from a financial piece of the puzzle, like how might AI play a factor? Is that something that's come up, or have you thought about that with any of your clients?
It hasn't come up a ton. I encourage the use of AI as a
Mhm.
tool. I don't think AI is ever going to replace humans,
Sure.
but I do think it's important to know what's coming up. I was actually having this conversation today with a business colleague about how can we leverage AI and to make it an effective tool, like even in what we do as coaches and as financial experts, because like the value that we bring is not in the spreadsheets that we can produce. Like AI
Yeah.
can do that for you. That's information, that's knowledge, that's very transactional.
Yeah.
I love to help people with that. I love to teach them how to get those insights from their data, but the value that we bring as coaches is in that personal relationship because
Yeah.
you're never going to replace that with AI. Like scripture says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
Hmm.
AI is never going to be able to give you wisdom.
Yeah.
AI can help with strategy. It can be a tool. It can be an aid. It can augment what you're doing. It can help you be more efficient. But it's never going to replace the human heart, right?
Yeah.
And so I would say, yeah, use AI as a tool. I'm actually reading a book right now called The AI Driven Leader, and
Mm.
it's good. I just started it, but I definitely recommend the book already because I think it's very insightful. And just to know what's going on, I think we shouldn't turn a blind eye to it. We
Hmm.
shouldn't be overly excited about it or overly afraid of it. We should just be knowledgeable and ask the Lord to give us wisdom in how we can incorporate AI in our companies. But it's going to look different for everyone because there's so many different ways to use it. It's such a big conversation. Um, but yeah, AI is definitely, I don't think we can just ignore it. Like
Sure.
we need to be knowledgeable of it so that we know how to use it in a smart way.
Makes sense. So, Lauren, you're saying to be a steward is what you're saying. Folks,
Yeah,
I had
totally.
to throw that in there. It is even stewardship when it comes to exploring AI for sure.
Hmm.
Lauren, as we get ready to close, we're kind of in the second half of 2025. Any exciting things coming up in the fourth quarter, or even if you're looking that far ahead, 2026, what are you excited about before the end of the year or possibly going into next year?
Hmm. Oh, that's a good question. Something that the Lord has been teaching me in the last 2 years has been to focus on the day by day and
Mhm.
to ask for daily bread and to not get too ahead of myself. And so, as counterintuitive as it is, because I know that as business owners, there's value in strategic planning and looking at next quarter and next year. And I have not been in that season. If I'm just totally transparent, I have
Mhm.
been much more day by day and just in a season of seeking the Lord and saying, "All right, Lord, I need you to give me some fresh vision here."
Yeah.
Not because there's any discontent in what I'm doing, but uh I'm good doing what I'm doing, for the foreseeable future, but I don't have anything that's necessarily new or like, okay, this is what I'm doing next quarter that's different, or this is how I'm going to
Mhm.
build things, for 2026. And so I was saying, Lord, I feel like you've put this on my heart to pray for some fresh vision, and I don't know what that's going to look like. And then I was reading Isaiah 40 and 41 this morning, and he just reminded me, like, those who wait on the Lord will renew their strength. Like, you're just waiting
Mhm.
on me. I got you. So I wish there's part of me that I wish I could say, yes, this is what I have planned for Q4, and then this is what I have planned for 2026. And I just don't have that yet. So,
Mhm.
but I'm okay with that. And I think it's
Yep.
fine.
Absolutely. As my cousin would say, and I'm okay with that. I love it.
But I do plan to keep doing what I'm doing for right
For
now. So,
sure.
so nothing wrong with that either.
Absolutely. Lauren, you have given you listen, fractional CFO, cash flow, the different financial statements. I mean, you have given us some good gems. You've talked about trends in 2025. Before we go, Lauren, where can people learn more about you? How can they connect with you so that they could keep up with what you're doing or even become a client?
Absolutely. Yeah. So my website is savvystewardship.com. You can email me at lauren@savvystewardship.com. And you can also find me on LinkedIn.
Folks, you heard it directly from the savvy one, Savvy Stewardship, Lauren Rilling. Lauren, this has been an awesome conversation. I've had a ton of fun. We had a fun conversation even offline, folks. I'm telling you, make sure that you connect with Lauren. Just like with our personal finances, we got to steward our business finances as well. Stewardship transcends all areas. So if you need that sort of guidance, Lauren is definitely someone that you want to reach out to. Lauren, I can't thank you enough for hanging out with us here on the Fortified Life. We will definitely have to do this again when you have other things going on and it's like, oh, Jason, we've got some new stuff coming. Know that I've already pre-decided that you'll be back.
Oh, thank you so much, Jason. Yeah, this was fun. And yeah, once I figure out, hey, this is kind of what's next, you'll be the first to know.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Lauren, thanks so much for hanging out with us here on the show. Kind of like Marvel does with the Avengers, Lauren Rilling will return to the Fortified Life podcast, I assure you. So we'll work out a date. But if you see her
Sounds great.
pop up again, know that we've already said she'll be back. Folks, we'll have all of Lauren's contact information in the show notes, fortifiedlifepodcast.com, jerichoforce.com/podcast. So don't you worry. You will have your opportunity to be a savvy steward. Yes, you will. Folks, that's all we have time for here on this show. You know how we leave things. Don't compartmentalize your faith in the marketplace. And from the boardroom to the bathroom, God is with you. We'll see you next time on the Fortified Life podcast.